The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And good Wednesday morning, and welcome to another hump day edition of Analyze This here on your NPR station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, WTJX FM 93.1. We're yours truly, Neville James. Good to be back. Right back into it. The Department of Education's here in the house. Get closer to the microphone, Madam Superintendent. Good morning. Introduce yourself, if you will.
Good morning. I am Dr. Carla Bastian-Knight, Superintendent for the Croix District, Department of Education.
Congratulations is in order. It's my understanding that you've been promoted.
Thank you.
How's the Department of Education doing?
We are doing well. We are ready for the return of a new school year.
Mm-hmm.
We are ignited as our theme this year, and the Commissioner will deliver her theme a little later on, is igniting innovation and elevating excellence. And everything that we do as we approach this school year is centered around that theme. So you see me sitting here, I might have on black, but I'm actually really ignited and excited for the new school year.
Tell us about yourself. Who's Carla Bastian-Knight?
Carla Bastian-Knight. Sometimes I just like being Carla. Former Deputy Superintendent. I served as Deputy Superintendent for the past 7 years here at the Department of Education. And I think everyone in the community knows who I am. Very community-oriented.
Where went to school?
Extra heavy on the community service. I'm a graduate of the Croix Educational Complex, class of 2002.
You're a God VLA student?
Yes, definitely one of Kurt Viale's students. He knows me by name.
Kendall Henry, I went to school together. Casey?
I think Casey was a year behind
A year
of me.
behind?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my people from
Casey's good people.
the
We engage a
Barracudas,
lot.
the Barracuda Nation down there. You've been acting in this position for a while, though.
On and off over the years, yes.
Okay. Now, there's a question that I specifically wanted to ask with respect to student population as a result of the storms. It's been 8 years come September, and we had a census. The census had our population reduced significantly at 20% territory-wide. Is the same correlation in effect with our students here in the Virgin Islands?
Yes, I know for the Croix District currently, as of yesterday, we have 5,140 students in the Croix District.
5,140.
And that number tends to change very often. So we did have some of the families that transitioned to the mainland after the storm, but they're slowly returning. So
Okay.
our numbers continue to stagger, the employment challenges and just personal choice. You see them go up and down. But for the past 2 years, it has been around the same 5,300, 5,200, and we're actually at 5,140. And it's almost to what it was last school year. So what went out with the graduating class is actually re-enrolled for this upcoming school year. So we balanced out.
Okay, good. Joining us on the line from the St. Thomas St. John District. Good morning. Who am I speaking with?
Top of the morning, this is Dr. Stefan, Jurgen, Superintendent, SCTJ.
Good morning, Commissioner Wells-Hedrington. How are you today?
Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Mr. Scandinavian. How are you, man?
I'm doing very well, fired up and ready to go.
That's good. Commissioner, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
Okay, good. Well, let me just yield to you, Commissioner.
All right.
No school year.
New school year, new energy. Our theme this year is igniting innovation and elevating excellence. The superintendents have been working very hard to prepare for the return of the faculty and staff, and of course the return of our students. We are very much on fire this year. We're excited. This is a year of accountability. And so we are going to be putting out the ratings of our schools based on achievement data, growth, and attendance. And so that should be published around October of this year. And so our schools have been charged to make improvements in student outcomes. This year, we are focused on uniformity. So a lot of the work that we're doing, we're making sure that the same thing is being done in St. Thomas, St. John District, as well as the St. Croix District, that we're using common materials and instructional strategies to support our people who are in the trenches. And we're just looking forward to welcoming our students back. And so we're excited. The superintendents can tell you a little bit more on what they have been doing independently to prepare for the return of our students on August 13th.
Superintendent Jurgen, good morning.
Top of the morning. Listen, we just have been really working over the summer to make sure, number one, our schools are ready, and also working on the mindset, because I think the biggest shift is that we have to meet these children where they are, and we have to expect that they will produce. So I'm looking for results this year. I'm looking for results in a big way across the board, from CTE to early childhood, to graduation numbers, to the graduation rate, to the dropout rate. I'm looking for results across the board in SCTJ this year, in VIDE, period.
Okay, that's good. What about St. John?
Yeah, that's our baby, SCTJ. There's no SCTJ without St. John.
Better believe it.
Julia Sproul. Oh, well, of course, right? The commissioner roots out at St. John, so
That's right.
We wouldn't
And
expect.
the superintendent.
And the superintendent. So that's something that we would expect. And look, there's nothing wrong with preferential treatment for St. John. I'm biased, and I want to make sure that
I love it.
St. John get treated especially. Now, let's get the new school status out of the way first before we get the curriculum for 2025-2026. Superintendent, prior to being Commissioner, prior to being appointed to this position in 2022, I believe it was, you were tasked with the new school constructions, reconstructions, stuff like that. Can you give us an update, please?
Sure. So we were able to secure $3.2 billion for the rebuilding and modernization of our schools. Right now, our school, the furthest school along the journey is the Arthur Richards School, which is scheduled to be opened in August of 2026. So we're very, very excited about that. We have several billion-dollar bundles that have been contracted. In the St. Thomas, St. John district, we have a bundle that includes about 5 schools and the administrative building. The St. Croix bundle is under review as we speak. Central High rebuild is about to kick off. That was awarded already. And then the Julius Eastborough School bundle has been contracted. Jay Benton is the contractor who will be working on Julius Eastborough School, Myra Keaton Smith Healthcare Center, and Morris F. D. Castro. So that's a bundle with help that we have contracted at this time. So there's going to be a lot of work in the territory. Charlotte Amalia High School demolition has already taken place. They're doing the soil testing, and we're about to start construction on that project relatively soon. BCB modernization is also on the way. That particular site will be done in phases because we do need the space to accommodate our students, just like Charlotte Amalia High School. So we're working around, but it's an exciting time for VIDE with all of these projects that are taking flight.
No, Superintendent Bastian-Knight or Bastian? Wait, is that
Bastian-Knight.
Bastian-Knight. Okay, good. Right. Tell me about Arthur Richards.
The new Arthur Richards.
The new Arthur Richards. That's the footprint is where Evelyn Williams used to be?
Correct.
So what happens to the property down in White Lady, Stony Ground?
I think that's yet to be determined. It's a nice property, we all know, but we do know that that area was deemed like a flood zone or something way back when. So I don't know what the exact plans for that facility is. I know we're using it to as much as we can right now, so it doesn't go to waste.
Because you used to get nice tennis courts and all kind of thing down there back in the day. So I would want at least something to be preserved for the people of Frederiksted down in that corner.
We agree, especially with the new housing development remodeling right across the street. We do have that population right there. So maybe in the future, once the funds are available, that something can be done.
No, the Evelyn Williams School, I don't want to sound negative, but I'm just speaking from a topography perspective. It is down in the valley, right? You drive in Paradise, and to get to the school, you go on a decline and all that stuff. Have we done the requisite engineering and all that stuff to protect against what happens when it rains and all that here?
I would believe that we did. The studies were conducted and the construction was done based on the need, and there's some good money that was poured into that project. So, because I'm not the engineer or one of the project managers, I would say that I believe that all the necessary work and studies were completed, and we are looking at a beautiful campus coming up. I don't know if you drove past there recently, but I actually passed it yesterday. And it's like, it gives you this just beaming pride, just knowing that with everything else that we're experiencing in the district and the territory, we have something new coming up the ground, and you could actually see the buildings. You could actually look at it now. So when you do visit, it looks like a campus coming to life. So
now, Commish, you would know about engineering and all that, because that's vital when you're constructing a new facility.
So definitely that has been part of the construction project in terms of collecting water for, of course, our system use, and then relocating the water off the campus. So they have put in systems to allow us to push the water out of the campus. We are coordinating with Department of Public Works as I speak, to make sure that we're not channeling the water into an area where it could cause problems for others in the community. So they're still working out that piece, but all of the systems have been put in place in terms of engineering to allow for that water to come off of the campus.
Superintendent Jurgen, I had Suffolk CBNA? That's the entity that will be constructing the new schools in St. Thomas, St. John?
Yes.
Lockhart is one of the schools?
So we have Lockhart, we have Tuitt, we have E. Benjamin
Oliver. Yeah.
Yes, we have headquarters. We have Ivana Udurcan High School as well.
I think it was about 4 or 5 schools at CBNA.
That's 5.
Okay,
Yeah, that's 5, and Tuitt. Tuitt is also a part of
Tuitt. Okay, that's the 5th one. Correct. Okay, good. Now, the high-profile issue during the last year and a half, Superintendent Jurgen, was the construction, the swap, right? The land swap for St. John, right? Familiar with that, sir?
Yes, very familiar.
Okay, good. Where are we with respect to this new facility that was also one of the arguments that was made for supporting it was that it's going to be a shelter as well as a school?
We are moving forward with that facility, and we're looking forward to the children on St. John not having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and traverse to St. Thomas to go to school. We want to make sure that they have a state-of-the-art school that's fully staffed for the children in St. John to remain on the natural island.
No, if I come on a boat to St. John, which direction are you going to this facility, this new facility?
That's a very good question. I allow the commissioner to take you there.
We're traveling east.
Traveling east, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to just say this too, just to update the community. So we had the federal consistency determination meeting this past Monday with DPNR, and we were approved. The design for the new Julius C. Sproul School is about 60%. That design is being done independently from J. Benton, and J. Benton will be responsible for the construction. one concern that the community had is that they wanted a field. The property does not allow us to have a complete field with a track. However, across the street from the school, there is property that we are looking into so that we will be able to construct a track and a field for that particular site. So the site is quite steep. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see it. It's a very steep slope. And we were able to put a gym, so they will be able to have indoor sports, as well as secure it for in the event that we have any storms. It will be the centralized shelter for the island of St. John. Currently, St. John people have to travel to St. Thomas for sheltering.
That's good. And the estate is Annabog? That's the estate that the school will be constructed in?
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Superintendent Jurgen, you mentioned the curriculum center had get damaged in the hurricane?
Yes.
That gonna be rebuilt?
I'm currently split between Edith Williams and the Tutu Park Mall.
Okay.
And Dover School.
That's the building out there in Tutu, right?
Yes.
Next to the Housing Authority building?
Yes.
Okay.
Right below.
Right below, right? So what's the deal with that? Okay, the curriculum center is a very important property on both districts.
Who you telling? That has been kind of one of the things that has made it kind of really fragmented, because my entire shop's operation is located in 3 or 4 locations. So we hope to see the day when the curriculum center comes back, and we don't have to go borrowing space to have meetings here, there, and everywhere. But it is the hub of, the district, and we want to make sure it comes back. But the commissioner can give you some updated information on the plans for the curriculum center.
Well, let the record reflect, though. I want the record to reflect that I was a former Department of Education employee. Okay? And when Miss Bastian been in grade school, when Hugo hit in 88, 89, and St. Croix, the curriculum center, right, was the epicenter for all education on St. Croix. So I understand the importance of the curriculum center, because those buildings are remarkably constructed. It's a federal construction plan and all that stuff. So take a break, come back, continue to talk about infrastructure and curriculum with the new school year looking at us, 25-26. Department of Education's in the house. Be back right after this.
Commissioner.
And we are back here. Analyze this. We've got the Department of Education leadership joining us. The new school year is upon us. Let me do a quorum call. The superintendent of schools, St. Thomas St. John, Mr. Stefan Jurgen. I like to tease him and refer to him as Scandinavian since he got that Swedish name. Good morning, sir. How are you?
This is Commissioner Dr. Jurgen stepped away for 5 minutes.
Okay.
We kind of double booked. He's greeting the school lunch workers.
No problem. No, he good. We got no problem with that. We good. Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Dionne Wells-Hedrington, out of St. John, Love City, massive. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having us.
Good. And in the studio here, Dr. Carla Bastian-Knight, Superintendent of Schools, St. Croix District. Good morning.
Good morning,
Madam Superintendent and Dr. Lester. You come from a family administrator. Your father used to brag, hey, Lawrence, Antonio Bastian, but you going to talk to me how they want and all that kind of thing. When he used to walk in the Department of Health. So this is public service is a part of you?
Yes, that's what I do. That's what I think we're all here to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the right thing. It's not easy. It's not friendly, but we're here nonetheless.
Yeah, man, it's part of the gig. So we're good with that. Commish, what's the biggest problems facing the department right now, in your opinion? Biggest, if not problems, challenges or obstacles?
I think the biggest challenge will always be our infrastructure. If I can be very transparent, we are trying to rehab these buildings that have lived their lives, and so we continue to find problems here and there that have to be remediated, etc. When it comes to instruction, our biggest challenge is teacher shortages, and we have been working with the superintendents to right-size their districts so that we maximize all the human capital that we have within our schools.
No, I got questions. I got 2 questions from a listener, so let me get right to it. First question, what's the status of the ARPA monies slated for repair and maintenance? Apparently contractors have stopped working because of outstanding money's owed and all that stuff, and we don't want that money to be clawed back by the federal government. Can you give us an update on that?
Sure. So we had a pause with the change in administration in the U.S. President Trump, when he came in, he rolled back the decision to allow the extension for the ARP fund. It's been a back-and-forth battle. However, we were granted the extension, which allows us to pay our vendors and continue with our project. So up to yesterday, we had a meeting with finance as well as OMB and the governor's office to make sure that we have streamlined the process. So what actually has to happen is we have to pay from the local funds and be reimbursed by the federal dollars. So no longer can we make straight pays out of the federal money. So what the governor did is provided us with some of the line of credit. We have $5 million that we would be able to draw down on, and that money should be in the bank today, and we will be able to push through our payments for straight pay. We have prioritized our contracts tied to construction because we need those repairs to continue and be completed. So vendors, you should see something within the next week, I would say, now that we finalize the process and how we're going to get it done.
Now, the governor mentioned that he had spoken with the Secretary of Education.
Yes,
this was all a part of those discussions?
Yes, I was at that meeting.
Okay.
The secretary allowed us to have about 45 minutes to really talk about the impact of not having access to the ARP funds and the challenges that it was creating for the territory. We're talking about $34 million. VI doesn't have $34 million, and neither does the government. So I think us being able to explain the projects and where we were helped in her decision-making at that particular meeting. She indicated to us that she was the appeal officer. I had submitted my appeal from VIDE, and that she would get back to us within a week and a half the most. And then we saw correspondence come out that they granted the extension for the territories and for the state to be able to encumber those funds.
a follow-up question, another question from another listener here. Can you ask if these new facilities will incorporate green technologies like solar, etc.? Also,
Yes.
will they be designed with technology in mind, connectivity via wired and wireless?
Yes. So yes to both of those questions. Our designs have the solar panels already installed as part of the design. We have battery backups as well on the campuses to ensure that if we have an outage, we'll be able still to function with minimal disruption. So all of that was taken into consideration in the design.
No, I see the superintendent shaking her head, so I'm going to have some fun with this one, yeah. You happen to be related to energy guru, you know what I'm saying? The Mr. Wapa, you know what I'm saying? So you should be a little, acutely aware of our situation here, in particular solar. This is a big move, Superintendent Bastian, with respect to this administration. The governor's been talking about it, what have you. Talk a little bit about why it's important that we incorporate these green technologies, because our situation is unique. Here we are a remote location. We need to do things that we're going to generate our own power, Madam Superintendent, because we're not part of a grid.
Definitely. And we know that we do have our challenges with our Water and Power Authority, WAPA. They have their own challenges historically. And of course, our campuses often get the short end of their challenges. So as we modernize our campuses, as we build new campuses, we keep WAPA in mind. And WAPA don't ever get a slide or a pass from me. I'm very verbal. One of WAPA's hardest critics when it comes to my office and our campuses being affected. I happen to have them on speed dial. So as we build our new facilities, we have taken that into mind. And when you look at the plans for the Arthur Richards that's currently being built and just the new design that was revealed last month for Central High, you can see those considerations in play from how the campuses are built with the lighting and allowing that natural light to come in. So if WAPA happens to go on a day, we still have that natural light and we don't have to push for immediate dismissal because our classrooms are dark.
Commissioner, last year you had to do something that I don't think we'd ever done before. There were days where you had to cancel school because climate change, the realities that we're dealing with, the heat here in the territory. Talk a little bit about preparations for that negative potential for 25-26.
So part of what we decided to do in collaboration with the Bureau was to install air conditioning units in those two particular schools that we did have early dismissal at, which are Eulalie Rivera and Educational Complex. Eulalie Rivera, I believe, Dr. Bastian, you can correct me, it's about 90% completed. There's one wing where the electrical upgrade still has to be done. That was one of the projects that was stopped because of the ARP funding. We have slotted in the air conditioners. We have changed out the windows. So we have done all the preparation to accommodate the air conditioning units, which require that electrical upgrade. The electrical upgrade is being completed at Complex. And once completed, then we'll be able to slot in the air conditioning unit at Complex. Good thing is the units are here. So it's not a question of if it's going to be done. It is a priority because of the high heat index in the territory that we had no choice but to make those accommodations. So Complex is actually one of the schools that's going to be modernized. It was kind of a conflict in terms of us designing the new school now and then flattening these ACs. But we didn't have a choice because our people have to be comfortable in the environment that they're working in, and we have to stay in compliance with union contract regulations. So that's where we are in terms of those two particular sites that were heavily impacted last year with the heat index.
Superintendent, I want to make sure I get this correct. The new Arthur Richards is going to be a K-8?
Yes, correct.
Claudio Marco will still exist as a K-6?
Yes, for now, yes.
For now? Okay, okay. So what we did is we commingled or merged what Evelyn Williams and Arthur Richards used to be.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So that's a joint facility now. The commissioner mentioned Eula Rivera. That's one of our oldest schools.
Correct.
So how do we go about? Will all the students who go to Eula Rivera now be at K to 8 at the new Arthur Richards?
No, actually not. The commissioner, I think last month, revealed to the Senate the plans for the new Arthur Richards. What we do know is that the students from the John H. Woodson Junior High School will transition to that campus next summer. Due to the challenges that we continue to experience at that campus, that's the plan for the Arthur Richards.
So Alexander Henderson is not currently a facility.
No.
So students who went to Alexander Henderson
Distributed between Eulalie and Claudio Marco.
you're in Clairmont right now.
Currently.
Who is going to be going to the new K to 6 part of the K to 8 Arthur Richards School?
It will require a new redistricting of that area just to make sure that we balance out the schools, because we still have Eulalie, which is very close proximity, and we still have the Claudio Marco population. So a redistricting will occur for that K through 6 population.
Because prior to the storms, we had 4 elementary schools. That would be Evelyn Williams,
Alexander
Henderson, Eula Rivera, Claudio Marco. Right? Subsequent to the storm, there is no Alexander Henderson. There is no Arthur Richards. Correct. Right? So what we had was 4 elementary schools and 1 junior high school. Now with this new Arthur Richards constructed, there is no Henderson. There is no there is no Arthur Richards as a junior high school. So what we're gonna have is a K to 8 and 2 elementary schools.
Yes. Eulalie Rivera is a K8 school also.
Rivera is a K to 8?
Yeah, pre-K to 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so the west population, you can find them between Eulalie Rivera, K to 8, and the John H. Woodson. So we have students from like Marley and stuff like that.
Our 7 to 8 students in the west now, they go to Eulalie Rivera?
Yeah, Eulalie Rivera and John H. Woodson.
And John H. Woodson. Oh,
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to be taking the 7 and 8 graders
and bringing them back down.
From Woodson and Eulalie Rivera. They will now be in the new Arthur Richards.
Correct. With some still in Eulalie Rivera.
Okay.
It's remaining as a K8.
It remains a K8. Okay, good.
There's enough students to fill both 7-8 populations.
Yeah, Commish.
So if I may, all of St. Croix schools are moving to the K8 model. So in the rebuild of Alexander Henderson and the rebuild of Claudio Marco, they will be rebuilt to be pre-K through 8th grade schools. So St. Croix District has opted to create that pre-K to 8 model. We already have it at Eulalie. We already have it at Juanita Garden and Pearl B. So we that's the model that we're doing in the St. Croix District, which is much easier because of the size of the campuses. St. Thomas is a little bit unique. We do have some pre-K to 8 schools, but not every school will be designed that way because of limitations in land in St. Thomas, in the St. Thomas Island. St. John would be a pre-K to 12.
So I want to make sure I get this right. You said all the schools in the St. Croix District are going to be K to 8?
Pre-K to 8.
Pre-K to 8.
When everything is completed with the rebuilding and modernization, it will be pre-K to 8, and then it will be the high school.
Wow, this is a novel move that we're making here, Commish.
It's not for me, it's not a novel move. That's how St. John has been designed from the time I was a little girl. We went to school from kindergarten to 9th grade, and then they removed it, and we became kindergarten to 8. The benefits of that model is that you are able to work with that student from kindergarten all the way up to junior high. You're able to collaborate with the teachers from the elementary side to the junior high side, and it's proven to be a model that works. I know that some of the concern always is how you're mixing the older students with the younger students. But how we're doing it on Arthuritus campus is just exactly how we're going to do it across the territory. Each building will house a particular level. So you might have pre-K to third in a building, you may have 4 to 6 in a building, and 7th and 8th in their own wing. So you separate them by wings, but they become one campus.
Well, the reason why I say Neville, because when I worked at the department way back when, we were 10 elementary schools, 3 junior high schools, and 2 high schools once upon a time. Basically, what we're saying now is we're gonna end up with what? About 7 or 8 K to 8, thereabouts.
Right. 2 high schools.
And
right.
2 high schools. Okay. Okay, I respect that. The total population, I know the number that you gave me, Superintendent, 5,000, thereabouts, 5,100.
5,140 as of yesterday.
As of yesterday, total population for St. Croix.
For the St. Croix district.
And the St. Thomas number,
St. John?
St. Thomas, St. John?
5,260.
Right.
5,260. So we're looking at what, 10,400 students thereabouts?
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. We got you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Senator James.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you, Jurgen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear us? Hello.
I'm not hearing you. I'm going to come off now and meet with my administrators since I can't really hear you.
But we're hearing you perfectly. I don't understand that one, so do your thing.
Okay.
Okay, I guess you can hear me because I responded. So 10,400 is our territory-wide public school population. Commish?
Yes.
Okay, and that's pretty much half and half. Talking with Department of Education, the new school year is upon us. We'll take a break and be back right after this. And we're back here and analyze this. The return show for Neville James had a week off. You know what I'm saying? You got another one coming out a little bit though, so don't be upset with me. Check this out. Good morning, Commish. Glad to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you for being my guest on my return. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. And Madam Superintendent, good to have you here in the studio.
Yes, nice to be here with you.
Congrats again on the promotion. You know what I'm saying? That upward mobility and all that stuff. So, Commish, when we were growing up, it's a long time ago, kind of old now, Youth Commission used to make sure that when they used to hire us, we used to paint the school, them, the readiness and all that stuff. That was a part of our culture. Matter of fact, since I go in there, let me ask this question. You don't think that, I mean, that used to be I think that was a King administration creation back in the day and all that stuff. And we've been clamoring. We try our best in the Senate. We see all kind of obstacles. Youth Commission the Commission on Youth was a good program for young people here in the Virgin Islands. I know that your plate full with respect to education, but if we don't get Human Services or the Governor's Office or somebody to reignite this, since igniting is one of the big words that I'm using as part of the team this year, you don't think we could start like a mini Youth Commission or something to try to see if we could get this thing back so that part of the readiness dynamic during the summertime is creating jobs for young people and making the schools look brand new and providing that that inspirational thing, that component that we look forward to going back to school in August and September back in the day?
Well, I think that we could have the conversation. I could have the conversation. We do utilize students from the Department of Labor that work with the maintenance division in both districts. But I'm fully aware of what you're speaking about because we used to paint them schools when I was in high school. And that was our job to get the schools ready. So definitely food for thought. Dr. Bastian, maybe you could speak about how you utilize the students from the Department of Labor in your district.
But you don't have to handle it.
Yeah, because we do this already. It may not be under the term the Youth Commission, but for the past years that I've been here as deputy and now as superintendent, we have always had up to at least the minimum 15 students from our community working not only in maintenance, because not all of us are handsy dandy and craftful with our hands. But I know last year I had at least 4 high school graduates, college visiting at home for the summer, working in federal grants, in school lunch. This year I know maintenance in Croix District had at least 15 shared between the department and the Department of Labor working with maintenance. So we do that every year. Our school lunch employees for the summer programs are youths. College, high school graduates, 11th graders, every year in our district. So they occurs. It's not titled Youth Commission, but they are employed.
You gave yourself away when you tell me you graduate in 2002. So you are baby when this Youth Commission.
Yes, so
Okay.
I don't know the title. I just know it exists.
No, we talking about the title. I gonna tell you. You said 15, right? What I'm trying to tell you is this Commission on Youth thing was hundreds deep. It was a monstrous program, Superintendent. The commissioner could tell you a monstrous program. And we had schools all over the place, and our school were good for maybe 10 to 15 students. So if we're doing the math alone, with let's just say back then we had 12 schools, because our youngest elementary school on St. Croix is Ricardo Richards, and that was open in 80 or 81, somewhere around there, right? We used to get 1,500 students per island. Seriously, I mean, I love the Virgin Islands. This is home and all that stuff. In that regard, we've regressed, right? And every year, the children them start painting, and by the end of July, all the school level brand new. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you props for what you do, bringing our young people in and all that stuff. College students, which is good because that's a managerial deal that you're working at and all that stuff. But if there's one thing we're clamoring for, as it relates to school readiness, is getting our young people involved with the schools. This is the biggest department. One of the things I've always said, Commish, the department is like a quasi-government within the government, right?
Yes.
It's a monstrous. There was a time when the education, when we do the budget, education was $200 million out of a $700 million budget, right? What's the number now? What's the ballpark number now, Commish?
172.
172.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was, and it was 200 million with more staffing back then. So you could, so if we do that, if we were to look at it from a per capita standpoint or perspective, given the reduction we're dealing with now, one could only imagine what that number would be, right? If we were at those numbers, right? If we're at 172 with reduced numbers now, we're looking at close to $300 million, commish, right? If we had the same, amount of administrators, same amount of teachers, support staff, and all that stuff. So this is a big department, and it's actually not only a big department, it's a department in recovery, and we're reconstructing, what have you. Biggest goals, commission and superintendent, for school year 2025-2026. Let me start with you, Commissioner.
So for me, it's student outcomes. Making sure that we support our schools in terms of instructions, making sure that our principals are setting goals for improvement within their schools. My hashtag word is results. I need to see results. I need to see that the students are moving. I need to see that we're closing that achievement gap. So student outcomes holistically for me, accountability, making sure that we support our districts as well as our schools, from the state level, and just making sure that our systems and operations are streamlined so that we don't create issues for ourselves within this big animal that we work in, so that we could get payments through faster. And different things that I see are still some hindrances internally. So putting SOPs in place, making sure that policies and procedures drive what we do and how we do it, and just making sure that our people know that we are in this together. It's not me over here and you over there. I am responsible for this entire territory, and so I don't take that lightly. So it requires us being in schools more, supporting the instructional piece, taking away the operational pieces from the principals so that they can focus on instruction. So that's where my focus is this year for the territory.
Superintendent, school starts officially what day?
Students return August 13. Our principals returned this morning.
Okay. Now, we go by semesters now or quarters?
We still have quarters.
Still have quarters?
2 semesters.
So, 2 semesters. So by December, by Christmas, the first half of the school year is done?
Correct.
And then when we get back in January, we start in the third quarter, second semester?
Correct.
Okay, and school finishes Memorial Day, somewhere around there?
Correct.
Okay, that's good. That's working out. I mean, you've been in the department when that wasn't the case. We'd actually finish our semesters in January and then start back up in late January or early February. Is the new school year working out well?
So far, the data shows that it works. There's some little tweaks that we would make. We do now make sure that when they leave on Christmas break, that they have completed everything and not with the expectation of coming back from Christmas break to take exams and stuff anymore. So we made those adjustments, and so far it's been working.
You know who was the senator who had actually, the first senator to move to change the school year back in the day? Remember who that was?
Was it you?
You're looking at him. You know what I'm saying? I got beat up for it because that first year, for those of you who don't know, summer pay is based on prorating, right?
Yep.
That's correct, Commish and Superintendent?
Yes, correct.
And in order to, so in other words, if you work 100% of the school year, you get 100% of summer pay, right? If you work 90% and all that stuff. By bringing back the teachers early that first year, that means that you were impacting their amount of summer prorated pay, right? So that created a conflict. They claimed they ain't had the money to pay it and all that stuff. You know, I suffered some political consequences as a result. But I know it was a good thing because, in particular, for our sophomores and juniors, not just our seniors, but our sophomores and juniors who are eligible for a lot of summer internships, it was beneficial, Commish and Superintendent, that we finished the school year in May because those internships start in June, correct?
Correct.
And all that. So I'm glad that it finally worked out. And the most important thing in your answer just now, Superintendent, the data. Right? You referenced what the data is saying. That's all we need. We need that tangible, that empirical data to let us know how what we're doing is impacting the people of the Virgin Islands, the students of the Virgin Islands. Superintendent.
And that's what we did from coming down to the end of May. The commissioner had each school come in with their leadership team, and we looked at data, do a deep dive, And everything that we're doing.
By the way, I don't mean to cut you off. In the Virgin Islands, and I like to apologize, guys. Say it too. The data. We don't say data.
Yes.
The data, though. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, data, yes.
So the data, we're
so
telling you.
it's driving everything that we're doing this school year. If it's not backed or supported by the data, we're not doing it. So when we say that we're focusing on our accountability, that's our student achievement. What the student scores are telling us. The report cards will be released in a month or two, informing where our schools are ranked. And our principals over the summer, they looked at their data and they have made the different decisions, set their goals based on what the data told them. As a district, we did the same. The commissioner's office did the same. What we know, because of the data, is that our students are not coming to school. So our attendance is one of our top priorities as a territory. Okay. We used to have a dropout once upon a time. We don't have that anymore. We have an attendance problem. So that's what we're going to be tackling, because our data will not change with the academics if the students are not coming to school. And just making sure that we have those multi-tier systems of support in place for our students' behavior and academics, and making sure that everything that we're asking our administrators and our teachers to do, that we're supporting them. So making sure that those coaching cycles and those walkthroughs and just the daily supports that our teachers need to be successful and our administrators are in place.
Commissioner, talk a little bit about why support staff is so important. When people think education, they think just teachers and principals and students, but there's more to the education process. Yeah. I worked in support staff, so it's personal for me. That's why I asked him the question.
So you have the people who add value. You have your my financial team that make sure that bills are paid, that we have our encumbrances or our budgets online. They impact everything that we do. Then we have the payroll division that's responsible for making sure that our employees get paid on time. We have HR that's responsible for recruitment and retention. And so it's all about making sure that people understand how this whole animal works.
Maintenance.
And it's not the schools. It's all these support agencies, all these supporting divisions that make it work. And so also making sure that my support divisions understand how they impact student outcomes, and keeping that vision on students is what I am pushing, what I'm emphasizing for all employees within the Department of Education.
What are we going to be doing in the next week? I know that the principal's coming today, superintendent, but normally there's, the last week of the summer break, readiness for the schools and all that. I know we spoke about the contractors and all that. Brushing up. That's what between now and next week, Wednesday, the 13th.
Yes, that's basically what we're doing, getting everything in place. We get resignations, retirements down to yesterday. So making sure that we're meeting with HR and filling those gaps. So when school open up, we have those teachers in front of our students. Education has a bunch of moving parts. Things change daily. And we continue to urge the public to pay attention to our platforms. VIDE.vi is our Facebook, our website. Instagram, VI Education, our Virgin Islands Department of Education Facebook page. We have the most current and relevant information pertaining to the department. So we will provide you what you need to know. So once you stay in tune to those platforms, make sure you enroll in the alerts so you get that up-to-date information as it's pushed out. PR does a real good job with sharing our information. And as our challenges, our strengths, and everything needs to be pushed out, we'll push them out. As we pivot, we'll push out that information so everybody is informed with the most up-to-date and correct information.
Commissioner, one of the unique things about education in the Virgin Islands, we used to have a lot of educators who came from abroad. A lot of, in particular, the Filipino. I remember the Filipino community. We're still dealing with that. I know we're dealing with a whole new administration now that some may deem anti-immigrant, what have you. That's on them. But it's impacted, the moving parts dynamic that the superintendent just mentioned.
Right. So we still have international teachers here. One of the biggest challenges that the department has currently is competition. When in the past it may have been the number one option to come to the Virgin Islands, it's not anymore. We have states that we're competing with that offer better packages for the international population. Currently, we have approximately about 120 internationals. We have 20 that are scheduled to arrive within the next month. We continue to look for ways to grow our own. We have an initiative with the Department of Labor and the Governor's Office, as well as BIDE, where 20 professionals who are interested in getting their teaching degrees will be our first cohort to attend the University of the Virgin Islands and accomplish that. Our teacher apprenticeship program is nothing new to the territory. It's just a different structure in terms of us making sure that we have mentors in place to support our paraprofessionals on their journey, to make sure that we continue to look for avenues to encourage our students to select an education track.
Commissioner, I ain't gonna let you go like that. We'll take a break, come back, so I give both you and the superintendent a chance to give final remarks. I know we got the Frederiksted Health Center join us in hour number 2. Be back right after this, wrap up this conversation.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here at Analyze This, wrapping up, I think, a productive conversation with the leadership for Department of Education as the 2025-2026 school year is upon us. Principals are returning back today, and then the students will be back in a week. On the 13th, I got here in the studio, Superintendent for St. Croix, was Carla Bastian-Knight, Madam Superintendent from now on, and Commish, Dionne Wells-Hedrington from Outer Love City. Good morning to both of you. I know I bring her back for closing remarks, but I just got a great question from one of my listeners, right? And I want to have to process this good, right? With all these moving parts, right? That's the term for the day. Superintendent, you just coined it there, so I got to hold on to it, right? If we don't have a Henderson and we don't have a Evelyn Williams, because we know merging and all that stuff. And as a former lawmaker, right, the Senate saw fit to name schools after great educators from in the past. How do we hold on to what the legislature did in recognizing these great educators? Because let's face it, Virgin Islands ain't about nothing without education, right? So what happens to the name Alexander Henderson, the name Evelyn Williams on the St. Croix side, and I don't know if we're doing any merging on the St. Thomas St. John side. Commish, how do you think we go about addressing that? Is this something that you and the leadership team could talk about and figure out how do we keep these names in the fold because they were mandated pursuant to law?
Absolutely. So Henderson is going to be Henderson still, so there's no merging with Henderson. What we're doing now is it's going to be a merge between Evelyn Williams and Arthur Richards. The names are going to be, it's going to be Arthur Richards pre-K to 8, but Evelyn Williams will be honored on that campus as well. We're looking at ways how to do that. One of the things that I told the contractors at the front of the school, there needs to be mention of both persons. We are trying to incorporate the mascots and different things for Evelyn Williams into the campus design as well. So I've been thinking about it, and it's not just those. What do we do with Charles H? What do we do with Elena Christian? What, you know, it's many more that we have to be creative in how we continue to honor those past educators.
So you would agree, Superintendent, that was an excellent question?
Yeah, we had that discussion a couple of years back when Dr. Hedrington was actually the COO way back when. Okay. Even if we name
the sensitivity to this issue was always there.
Yes, you could always name a portion of the campus, the gymnasium in honor of Charles H. Emmanuel, for example, his arena or something like that.
No, I like that.
Way back when we had this conversation.
I'm good with that. Commissioner, Superintendent, I'm going to see you again sometime. Maybe to end the quarter, maybe what's this, August, maybe sometime in December. You get together, you can let us know how the first half of the school year went, and then I look forward to talking with you again throughout the school year.
Yes, definitely.
Without a doubt. I want to thank both of you for making some time. Congrats on the new school year.
Thank you.
And hopefully you got productive 25, 26, but it all starts with the first quarter, and then the second quarter wrapping up the first semester, and by Christmas, we've had a good first half of the school year, and then we can look forward to this school year being productive and our graduates and all that stuff and promotees at the end of the 2025-26 school year. Superintendent Carla Bastian, congratulations again, and glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You're good. And Commissioner Dionne Wells-Hedrington, always a pleasure to talk with you, and looking forward to talking with you and Superintendent Jurgen sometime in the near future. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. And
don't forget, just a suggestion, update the public with respect to the contractors and all that stuff, because that's important, you know. And see if you could get a setting where you're not repeating yourself and you're talking to all of them at the same time, so that when you when you give the update, you're not having to be redundant and doing it over again. That's a very important aspect of communication and all that stuff. That's just a suggestion. Right. So I'd like to thank both of you for being educators. And, of course, I'm biased, having worked in public education for the first half of my public service life. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
You got it.
Have a great one.
You got it. That's Commissioner Dionne Wells-Hedrington and Superintendent Carla Bastian-Knight for the schools here on the St. Croix side as well. Thanks to both of you. Now we're going to transition to the Frederiksted Health Center. They're going to be coming in here in the studio. We're going to turn the superintendent for schools loose. And she'll go talk to the principal then, I think later this week. And they didn't even give me a chance to settle in. As soon as I come back after the road, right into it with education and healthcare being the topics for today. I want to thank all of you for the text messages, welcoming me back. I got another trip coming up 2 weeks from today, right? So I'm good for 2 weeks, and then I'm heading out again on the 20th. Okay, so Elena, I know for all you don't beat me up. And I had a great conversation last week when I was in St. Thomas. I spoke with some of the guys down there in the Pony Parlor, you know, who listened to the show, and I wanted to get them a shout. But it looked like I might go do that tomorrow because the Frederiksted Health Center there. But we had a great conversation. I want to talk about some of the things that we spoke about Rudy Krieger being on there as well, and all that. So we'll get to that at the appropriate time. But now we're gonna transition from education to healthcare. Morning, ladies. Hold on, he's gonna hook you up with a microphone. Morning.
Good morning.
Introduce yourself, if you will.
Good morning. I'm Masserae Webster. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Frederiksted Healthcare.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Virginia Clairmont, the current chairperson of the board and also a patient of Frederiksted Healthcare.
Good. So, Madam CEO, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So happy you're having us this morning.
Not a problem. How's the health center?
We're doing good, thank you.
How many locations we got in St. Croix?
Presently, we have 3 locations. The main site down on the waterfront in Frederiksted, the Ingeborg Nesbitt. And then here in Princess, La Grande Princess, we have the North Shore Health Center. And in Sion Farm, we have the Mid-Island Health Center.
Okay, good. Now, we used to have something at Sunshine once upon a time.
Yes, we recently closed that earlier this year.
Okay, good. And patient and board members, eh?
Yes, I've been on the board. This is my 3rd year, and I just was elected as the board chair.
Put on the headphones, if you will, and get closer to the microphone and reintroduce yourself again.
So my name is Virginia Clairmont. I am the current board chair and a patient of Frederiksted Healthcare.
How many members on the board?
Currently, there are 13 members on the board, if that's, 13 members.
And you're the chair?
I'm the chair. I'm the new board chair.
New board chair, effective when?
What was it, Miss Webster? It was, it's 2 months.
2 months?
So, yeah.
So
I
you're
was
fresh.
elected in May.
So you're newly minted board chair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In the fire pit.
The 13 members are good chemistry so far? Are exchanging ideas?
Yeah,
talking?
I have to say we have an amazing board. I think Miss Webster has done a good job putting together a very cohesive group of individuals, and then the board recruiting committee also does a great job identifying individuals. So we have well-rounded board members who provide a broad range of experience.
Ms. Webster, what's the biggest issue facing healthcare here on St. Croix and in the Virgin Islands, in your opinion?
The fact that we still have so many people uninsured. We have a lot of patients who do not qualify for Medicaid. And even those that qualify for Medicaid, sometimes there are challenges in them getting care that they need that's not available on island.
What's the difference between, this is a NPR station, so I like to get in education mode. What's the difference between, not the biggest difference, what is the difference between Medicaid and Medicare?
Sure. Medicare is for persons that are Medicare for persons over the age of 65 or persons with disabilities. Medicaid is for persons who are considered underserved, usually the lower income population. There is a criteria for eligibility. Presently, the eligibility in the Virgin Islands is 15,000 something. I don't have the exact number in my head, but I know it's 15,000. And if one makes
$15,000 income
annually, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if one makes 15,000, that is really not a lot of money. I mean, for the most part, to have to take care of your bills, groceries, healthcare, so forth and whatnot. But be it as it may, if you make 16, 17, 18,000, you do not qualify. And so we have a lot of people in that gap who exceed the 15,000 eligibility, maybe work at places where they don't offer health insurance, or even if they offer it, they can't afford it, right? If you're making 20,000 a year, you could hardly make ends meet to have to pay for health insurance. On top of that, in the Virgin Islands, there's nobody that's selling individual health insurance. So you really have to be part of a group plan. You have to be able to afford being part of a group plan, and your employer has to offer it, and that in many jobs or things that people do are wrong is not accessible from too many people in the Virgin Islands.
Now, You mentioned Medicare at 65 and older.
Yes, that's correct. Unless you have a disability.
Unless you have a disability, then you're eligible.
Yeah, you're eligible if you have a disability.
Okay, good. Now, what's the biggest issues facing the Frederiksted Health Center and its facilities, in your opinion?
We don't have enough. We're not able to serve everybody that needs services, particularly in the areas of behavioral health and oral health. It has been a challenge finding dentists and dental hygienists. We are the only public dental provider. None of the other public institutions offer dental. So with medical, for example, one could go to the Department of Health, one could come to Frederiksted Healthcare, or as we know, many abuse the emergency room. And that's something I want to talk about, because too many people go to the emergency room for primary care that should not occur in the emergency room, right? But I share that to say that on the medical side, there are 3 options for people to go to. As opposed to dental, our hospital doesn't offer dental, Department of Health doesn't offer dental. So all of those persons that I just described that might go to one of those 3 now can only come to FHC. FHC only has 11 chairs between our Princess site and our site in Frederiksted. That is not enough chairs to serve the masses. So we need more. We need more sites, as well as we need more hands on deck in terms of dentists and dental hygienists. And then the whole island has just a severe shortage when it comes to behavioral health. There are not enough behavioral health providers.
Madam Chairman, hearing what the CEO just said, what's your perspective from a board perspective? And you say you're a patient as well.
Funding. We actually, Ms. Webster said all of the services that we provide, the health center provides, but we are a nonprofit organization, and we rely on funding, not just federal funding, but also philanthropic donations and private donations to cover, those services and ensure that we're able to provide medical services or to individuals at an affordable price for those who are uninsured.
Dollars.
Yes. And currently, we've been doing okay, but the next 2 years are going to be a little shaky for us. We're not quite sure what we're going to encounter, but Ms. Webster has developed a contingency plan. But we definitely know that we need to diversify our funding and cultivate more private donations.
Chair Webster, we've had a unfunded compensation issue here with healthcare in the territory for decades. Still the same?
It's still the same, absolutely, probably even higher. And I'm concerned that we're going to continue to see that, and probably at an increased rate, as we are concerned of potential cuts to the Medicaid program. So you're going to see more people that are uninsured, that are presently now covered on Medicaid, that may no longer be covered.
What does that mean for our medical practitioners? Because the reality is, they went out, they put themselves in a lot of debt to achieve, that status of being a doctor, what have you, and they're not going to go to a jurisdiction where they're providing services and they're not going to be compensated. So that's a ripple effect. That's what we're talking about here.
Most definitely, and we have seen that even prior to
the big beautiful bill.
The big beautiful bill, yeah. Exactly.
Chucky from Brooklyn, I call it the big ugly bill. So we don't got fun with it on the show. So go ahead, yeah.
As a matter of fact, the satellite sites that we have acquired as providers have left the territory for not the big beautiful bill. It didn't occur then, but so for example,
we were having this issue before the big beautiful bill.
Right, after the closing of the refinery or after the hurricanes, some providers closed their offices, and that's how we acquired these additional sites.
So what do we do then? Do we have? I know the legislature, which people don't seem to understand how valuable the legislature is. Everything for them is governor and delegate and all that stuff, but the legislature is so critical, right? Because the legislature is the entity that actually approves the plan, the long-term plan. We had an agriculture plan. Are we in need, in your opinion, right now, of a long-term healthcare plan to address the realities that we're dealing with on the ground?
I would support that, yes.
And from a board perspective, you think that's something that the legislature
Well,
should be looking at, or the Department of Health and the other entities in conjunction, talking with our legislators, looking at putting in place a healthcare plan? Because as a remote, location, because that's what we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're not urban, we're not rural, we're remote. We're isolated. We got uniqueness attached to us. Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, CNMI. Insular possessions. We ain't got no great enough, driving from Louisiana to Mississippi situation here. This is boat or plane.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So talk a little bit about that.
We were just having a conversation about trying to better inform the legislature about, our costs and needs, and, the needs of our patients, the center's needs, and then the needs of our patients. And I absolutely agree with you. There needs to be like a stakeholder committee, conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, that gets together to decide how we are going to address, our healthcare challenges. Frederiksted Healthcare is doing an amazing job. We have we have adjusted salaries to retain our employees. Mm-hmm. We support their education. We have a Grow Your Own program where we pay for leave or education. We do a lot of investing in individuals.
We're going to take a break on that high note here. We've got the Frederiksted Health Center leadership here. We got Miss, you pronounce it differently. Masserae. Webster here, CEO, and also Miss Virginia Clairmont. She's the chairman of the Frederiksted Health Center board, which has expanded tremendously over the last 25, 30 years. We'll be back right after this. And we're back here to analyze this. We've got the leadership from the Frederiksted Health Center. It's not just the Frederiksted Health Center. It's the Frederiksted Health Center.
Frederiksted Healthcare Inc.
Frederiksted Healthcare Inc.
Yes.
Right? We got Miss Masserae. How you pronounce? Masserae. I know that Masserae all my life, but I can respect, you know what I'm saying? Masserae. Webster, she is the CEO. And Miss Virginia Clairmont, she is the chairman of the board and also a patient. Madam CEO, you wanted to dovetail on something that we were talking about earlier?
Yes, when you mentioned the fact that we are not like the mainland, we're not in a situation where if one lived in a rural area, they could drive from Mississippi to Louisiana or another surrounding state for services. You know, I think that's such a key point because that is such a challenge for so many of our underserved in the community. With Medicaid, it is not as simple or as easy as it is with persons who have the resources, whether they have the money or they have private insurance. That in itself is a challenge, but it becomes even much more of a severe concern for those who are uninsured and have no resources whatsoever. You know, we cannot drive to anywhere. You know, if we don't have it on St. Croix, we don't have it on St. Croix. We are in a position right now where we have got to strengthen our hospital system. There are too many things that we're airlifting people off island for on a daily basis, things that in the past we could provide care to here, but we no longer can. So, I mean, it's all, when we are interviewing people, normally, you know, you go for a job interview, the employer doesn't have to discuss with you the healthcare challenges and encourage you to get air ambulance service. That's not a normal conversation one would normally have, you know, in the States. But it's a reality that we have to discuss and make sure they understand and that they or their family understand if they have any severe critical healthcare needs, they have to consider if they're going to relocate and if they need health insurance. And there are too many here, and you know, we can talk about that, but there are too many that we realize of our patients that cannot afford it, you know, cannot purchase private insurance. So basically you sort of, unfortunately, you end up having to just stay here and count your days.
So you're shaking your head, Madam Chair.
As a patient, yes, I can tell you that I see the struggles, and as the board chairman, that we have a lot of challenges, and I understand on a wider scale the issues that we're facing here. I consider myself to be very fortunate that I have access to Frederiksted healthcare because I do suffer from hypertension, and I've had that for at least 15 years, and then most recently during COVID, I developed diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and I can say that because of the quality of the care that I receive now, I'm in the best health of my life. And I mean that even when I was a gym bunny, my diabetes is under control, my hypertension is, I have good numbers, and that is because my provider at Frederiksted Healthcare is my partner in keeping me healthy. I also go to Frederiksted Healthcare for my mental health because I do have anxiety, and so again, my provider is, you know, my partner and actively engaged in ensuring that I am, you know, experiencing the best quality of life that I can have. So my goal is that we can do that for other individuals, right? That they know you can go to Frederiksted Healthcare and get good care for, women's health, your mental health, your primary care, as well as pediatric care. They offer a lot of different services, and Ms. Webster's goal is that we additional locations, including micro locations where individuals who live, in places where there may not be easy access to public transportation can come in and get, at least their primary care taken care of.
Now, I want to piggyback on a couple of the things that you just mentioned. This goes back to Ms. Webster. Ms. Webster, this is your second go around as the leader, the shot caller for Frederiksted Health Center?
second go around. I'm not sure.
You've been there,
I've been there for 17 years.
17 years.
Yes, I never left and came back. I've just.
Oh, you've been there throughout. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever imagine that Frederiksted Health Center would have these micro locations that we're talking about now? Back in the day, how long you been in Mel? You were with public health.
I am a social worker by training.
Social worker. Okay, that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
I worked at Department of Human Services for 10 years, and then I worked at Lutheran Social Services for 17 years.
Okay, see, that's why I'm mixing up there, right?
Right.
Now,
so, as a social worker, I would say, I was always, social workers, we try to fill the needs. So for me, it's always been, we have needs in other parts of the island. Many of the patients that we have were people and families I worked with as a social worker. So I definitely felt we needed to expand, and we did come up with some pushback in the beginning where, at the time, some of our board members and some of the community felt, this is Frederiksted, okay, it have to stay in Frederiksted, it has to be. But we were able to convince them and share with them the need is across the island.
Well, let me go back. I want to make sure the public understands the foundation of why I'm asking the question, how I'm asking it. When I was growing up, there was no Frederiksted Health Center. There was no hospital as an entity all to itself. Everything was under the Department of Health, right? I'm a child of the 70s, 80s, and all that stuff, right? Now we have the Department of Health. We have the Wang Louis Hospital, which is not a part of the Department of Health. It is run as our own semi-autonomous agency. And we also have the Frederiksted Health Center, which used to be the Ingeborg Nesbitt Clinic, which was a part of the Department of Health, right? That's the reason why I asked that question, right? On the St. Thomas side, there was no STEAM CC, to my knowledge. Everything was Nud Hansen, right? At the time, right? It was the Nud Hansen Hospital before it became, and now we have the Schneider Regional Medical Center. We still have the Department of Health, and we got STEAM CC. So it's a pretty parallel thing territory-wide, right? Now, is that natural in terms of the evolution of providing health care for people, where we've gone from a centralized structure with the Department of Health providing everything to now where we have Frederiksted Health Center, we got the hospital separated from the Department of Health? That's the reason why I asked that question. Is that the evolution? Is that a natural evolution?
On the national level, for sure, you see separate entities, right? As a matter of fact, many of the hospitals are usually private entities.
Yeah, that's the next aspect that we don't really have here.
We don't have, right? Yeah. Exactly. And the federal government was the one who. This service was offered under the Department of Health. The grant that we have now used to be offered under Department of Health, not only in the Virgin Islands, but nationally. In the 80s, the federal government felt that the Department of Health should be more looking at setting policy and regulating. Okay. They shouldn't be providing
health care.
Right.
Yeah.
At least primary care.
Yeah, primary care.
They then came up with they're not going to give these grants to the Department of Health anymore. Not just
so this was a legislative thing from back in the 80s, is it?
Right,
okay,
exactly.
Okay. So it's evolution.
It's been an evolution, right. It started in the 80s. We were one of the last to finally become an independent nonprofit organization, and we became that in 2000. Frederiksted Healthcare as a corporation, and no longer, same with STEAM CC. It had come to the point where the federal government was saying they would not give the grant to the Virgin Islands anymore because we were one of the last to actually become nonprofits. They were not.
No, I'm glad you educated me here. I don't know if Madam Chair appreciating the education as well, because it's a beautiful thing, right? Education, being not more knowledgeable about something is good, right? Which automatically begs this question. Just because the model walk on the mainland don't necessarily mean it's a one-size-fits-all when they can walk in an insular possession, Madam CEO. Our situation is unique. We just mentioned, right? They got shared health up there via our interstate highway system. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that.
I really haven't spent a lot of time analyzing that to respond, really. But what I can say...
The name of the show is Analyze This.
Analyze that, exactly. Analyze that. Yeah. But I know when the hospitals were under Department of Health, they complained that they weren't receiving the funding. Now, I didn't work at the hospital or health at the time, but I clearly remember that being the cry from the hospital directors. I know they're still crying they don't receive enough funding.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know.
So the more things change, the more they remain in the same. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
Change from a structural thing.
Yeah,
go
I'd like
ahead,
to expand on that a
Of
little
course.
bit because you're absolutely right about how that model works. But the unique thing about health centers is that...
You can speak in a local twang if you want.
So
okay,
thank you.
The
thing is that the health center movement actually came out of the civil rights movement.
Okay,
right?
there we go.
Serve neighborhoods that were
underprivileged and all that stuff.
all of that,
Okay.
right? Oppressed.
I
actually learned this by attending
Of course,
the
of
conferences that that's available to the board. So when you have communities of color and farming communities where you have immigrants that aren't receiving health care, that is how the health centers came to be. And then I
Okay.
forget how then it got rolled into being part of the federal government. I don't remember that side of the story.
No, I can do my
but
research.
the core of it is that in Black and brown communities there were no facilities for them to access health care. So Frederiksted Healthcare actually is following that model and putting centers in places where there is limited access or access that's not affordable to the people that we serve. That being said, we do accept insurance, right? And so we serve all of the community, but our primary focus is on providing care in spaces where it's not easily accessible for people who are underinsured and uninsured.
You've been before the Senate so far? You had your budget hearing?
Last week, actually.
How did it go?
I think it went pretty good.
Went
Last
well?
Wednesday. Today it makes exactly a week.
Okay.
Yes, I think it went
Went
pretty
well?
well.
What's your relationship with Steam CC? You get two are kind of parallel. No?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And we do. We have a good relationship.
Both have been on the same day?
Yes, they were in the morning. We were in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And because I was once 100% district. As I've aged, I've mellowed. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about territory and all that because we do have one treasury. We don't have municipal government, so that's the reason why it's good to keep that in mind. Now you got the satellite locations, or you call it micro.
Yeah, just meaning that there's smaller
Small
locations that full service.
No, I want to use the right
locations.
terminology.
Right.
I understand what you mean,
Micro-locations,
micro versus
right.
macro and all that stuff. The North Shore facility working out well?
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about the fact that we have just completed building another facility on that premise. That facility is going to offer behavioral health services, outreach services, and we're going to move our administrative offices into that. By moving the administrative offices into that facility, it's going to free up space in the medical side of our North Shore facility, as well as the Ingeborg Nesbitt facility, where we'll do renovations and add more exam rooms. We need more medical exam rooms. So it'll give us more exam rooms down in West in Nesbitt, as well as here in Princess. And we have a grand opening this Thursday evening, tomorrow actually,
night,
at 6 p.m. and the public is invited.
Down there at the Nacho
Here in
facility?
Princess, yes.
Okay, good.
Well, she's not. There's one other thing Ms. Webster should mention and that's our expanded hours to meet the needs of the community.
Okay.
Right. Yes. So we just earlier this year, we started offering services. We had been offering services on Saturday for a while, but only until 2. So we've now extended that to 5 o'clock. It's 9 to 5 at our Science Farm site and our site in Frederiksted every Saturday. And then we have 9 to 5 on Sundays at our Mid-Island site. And 9 to 5 at Saturdays at our Mid-Island site. So we're open now 24 hours.
Wow.
Not 20, sorry, I
7
said it
days
wrong.
a week.
7 days a week.
7
I'm
days a
sorry,
week,
7
yeah.
days a week.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, we're open until 7. 8 to 7 at our Science Farm site. And there are a few nights at the North Shore site that we're open, and Mondays. Well, when one calls for appointments, we encourage people to call for appointments. They can tell them which evenings and what site is open until 7, as well as we accept walk-ins.
Right.
Okay.
And we're able to do that because we received a grant to pay for those additional hours.
Most of your grants come from the U.S. Department of Health?
Yeah, HRSA, Health Resource Services Administration, but it does fall under HHS.
What about the Interior?
We have not applied for anything from Interior, but I know that...
Does the Department of Interior have grants that your facility, your structure would benefit from?
I believe so. I need to look into it. I know St. Thomas East End has applied and received funding from them, so we probably can as well.
Okay. I know you're not here to speak for St. Thomas East End, but the name of your facility is Frederiksted Health Center, when in reality you're touching the entire island.
That
right?
is correct. That is correct.
Steam CC the same thing, into your knowledge, or they just
Right
East End?
now, they're only one site.
East End, okay, yeah.
Well, a little tidbit.
Yeah.
We do outreach work in St. Thomas as well.
Frederiksted Health Center?
Yes.
St. Thomas and St. John.
What is
Right.
this?
St. Thomas and St. John, yes.
Making me
Yes.
feel good.
Miss Webster could talk, give you a little bit more information, but we do it several times a year.
But healthcare is a very unique. I benefited from healthcare, right? My dad obviously was a doctor. My mom worked in WIC for 25 years, public health. You know what I'm saying? So I'm, partial and sentimentally attached. But there's a competitive nature in healthcare as well that you can't ignore. Not necessarily initiated by healthcare itself, but performance. You know what I'm saying? They're just people, when word gets around, look, they got a great doctor or they got good structure going on down there. That's where people are going to go because you're talking healthcare.
And we do.
So when we
do.
So when we come back, let me talk a little bit about those realities we're dealing with respect to healthcare and the competition, because we are a capitalistic society. Right? We're talking with Ms. Masserae, Masserae Webster, the CEO for Frederiksted Health Center, and Ms. Virginia Clairmont, chairman of the board and also a patient. Be back right after this. And we're back here on Analyze This. We've got Miss Masserae. I write it down. Excellent. I write it down how you pronounce it. Not how you spell, how you pronounce it. Miss Masserae Webster, CEO for the Frederiksted Health Center, Miss Virginia Clairmont. She's the chairman of the board. Good morning. Chairwoman of the board.
I prefer chairman.
Do you prefer chairman?
Much. Yes.
Okay, chairman of the board. Good morning to both of you. So, Ms. Webster, what else you want to talk about?
Well,
I want to yield to her instead of me just asking questions.
Sure, thanks.
Go ahead.
I want to follow up on we just before we went out, we were talking about providing services on St. Thomas and St. John. We do have a grant for HIV and AIDS to provide care as well as to provide prevention. And to provide prevention and education around it. St. Thomas East End does not have that grant. So because we have that grant, we're in a position where we're able to send staff, we send them like every 3 months to St. Thomas to provide outreach around HIV and AIDS, as well as St. John. They'll spend a day on St. John and offer testing and give education and outreach to the community on both islands. So that's how we're able to do that. I also wanted to share about the work we've been doing around the homeless. In 2015, we started a program. We've always served the homeless. Our facilities provide services to everyone, regardless. However, some members of the homeless had been expressing concerns to us about feeling uncomfortable coming into our facilities with others who were not homeless, and asked if there was any way we could just dedicate a day for them, right, with whatever day it was, and there'd be nobody else in that. So with the help of St. Croix Foundation and a funder that they had at the time, we were able to start up a Saturday clinic, which we have for only persons who are unhoused, and that's the term I really should be using. Only persons that are unhoused, they receive the whole gamut, mental health, medical, dental, all on that day. Now, their follow-ups can happen the next month, because it's only one Saturday a month, or if they're comfortable enough to come for follow-ups during the month when we have other patients, they're welcome to come as well. Many would prefer to just wait until the next month, and that's fine. The funder funded us for 3 years, and then that funding, went away. But we were committed to it. We saw the difference. We've seen so much improvements. We've actually been able to get some of these homeless housed or unhoused housed. We've been able to get some into trainings and been able to get some actually get jobs. So because we've seen those improvements, because of our commitment to the work that we were doing, we've continued it even without that grant funding. The program income, which is the monies we collect from those who are insured, we reinvest into services like this, and this is one of those programs. So we're really pleased. We, in the facility in Frederiksted, we actually have showers and portable toilets where anyone that's unhoused can come and use once the facility is open. We have clothing, we have shoes, we provide snacks during the day. We provide, services to our homeless community. And some of the individuals who never said anything, just you thought they couldn't talk, are now actually speaking and coming, saying, can I see Miss Smith, and actually saying thank you, and, having a little bit of a conversation. So we're definitely seeing great strides in improvement in many of the unhoused that we have been serving.
If I can also add, this is just the service that we provide to the unhoused community is also for their dignity, because they deserve to be treated with some level of dignity. As the saying goes, therefore, by the grace of God go I. Any of us could be unhoused at any moment. So I believe that the services that we provide, this demographic group, is essential. And the reason why they're responding is because we treat them with dignity and care.
How has the Frederiksted Health Center dealt with the most recent dynamic where, because of the pandemic and the fact that we have a social media, the anti-science voices that they're out there questioning validity of vaccines and all that stuff. How I've been dealing with that.
We've been trying our best to educate the public on that. I'm glad you brought that up because that is a concern. We have been doing vaccination drives. We've been putting out...
As a professional, tell the public about, to the best of your ability, the history of vaccines and why vaccines have been so critical in our evolution as it relates to healthcare and in saving lives. Let's just be very candid about it.
Absolutely. It absolutely has saved lives. I really wish I had my medical director here to speak to that or someone more clinical.
We could set that up.
But we could do it?
We could set that up.
We could set that up. Okay, so we definitely will do that. We absolutely will do that. There are these conspiracy theories, I would say, that are seriously causing lives. We are seeing it. We are seeing it in our patients. We're seeing it. We're really concerned about that. We've been able to convince quite a few of our parents to immunize their children, but we're still not doing enough. We have one of the lowest immunization rates within the United States, the entire United States.
And based on the data that we had seen during the pandemic window, St. Croix was the least vaccinated island of the three islands. As it relates to population and percentage of population.
Right. Right.
No, don't get me wrong. People got a right to choose how they want to deal with their medical issues. But the reality is, right, when you look at the data, and to me that's how you should arrive at conclusions, empirical data, right? Not necessarily theories and gut feelings and hunches and all that stuff, right? Prior to 2020, when we had the pandemic, there wasn't this anti-vaccine, movement, right? To the extent that it is now, right? And social media has played a part in that.
Most definitely. It had been around, but I agree with you, not to the extent. And I think the challenge or what caused that was how quickly it was rolled out.
Correct.
And how...
And that's a legitimate question. Don't get me wrong. That was a 1 year, 10, 11 month type thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
our president at the time did not help
Yeah.
with, the things that he said.
However, that's why education is critical. And I want to bring in the chairman here as well. We found out, right, that the vaccine that was rolled out to deal with COVID was actually in the making from with SARS way back when. And SARS was at 2002, I believe, or something, or back then. And we're talking 2020. So that's the reason why it appeared to be, or I don't want to say appeared. That's the reason why it was somewhat accelerated, because there was an issue before with respect to the SARS virus and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to say distrust in the Black and Brown community, is justifiable.
Yes,
we know that
I
there
agree
have
with
been
that.
some very awful things that have been done to...
Remember what happened with Tuskegee,
right,
with our
our
brothers and uncles, and we were used.
We were used as test cases, right, to for the vaccines
guinea pigs.
And other things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm just being candid here this morning.
But sometimes I also think people forget before these vaccines were created, what these diseases looked like.
Yes,
and
sir.
It was not pretty.
Yes, sir.
It was very painful.
Polio,
Right.
measles, mump, leprosy.
And I had the mumps, and I could tell you,
Wow.
that it was, as a child, it wasn't a pleasant experience. But I will have to say that sometimes the medical community just needs to speak in simple language to the people
Agreed.
about how these vaccines are created. I hear people all the time say, "Oh, they put chemicals and all that sort of stuff," and it really is not
I was
that
fortunate.
complicated.
I was fortunate, to have Dr. Treasure. Right, she'd call into the show, once a week, once every other week, and she literally gave the history with respect to vaccines and how there was a separation of a population, right? When they were actually going through the vaccination trials and all that stuff, good education, all that stuff, and I think that kind of calmed some questions, but as someone, people, a lot of people live on Facebook, all that stuff. I like to hang out on Twitter and X and all that stuff, and I read it all the time. People just paranoid. You would think that sickness and death never existed prior to the pandemic and prior to vaccines, the way people are talking. You follow what I'm saying? And that's unfortunate, right? And what that does is it scares people. And that's my biggest concern, Madam CEO. That people don't panic when they read something and they're just grabbing something, on the cuff, on its face, and just running with it. And, instead of allowing for the data to help them, arrive at the decisions.
Can I just add this before Ms. Webster answers? I had some discussions with friends about, the person that you're listening to that's anti-vaccine took the vaccine, right? So they're spreading misinformation, but they understand, this is a life or death situation, and encouraging them to do their own research. And,
well, you would think that people weren't dying from COVID.
1 million people.
The way that they were talking, you know what I'm saying?
1 million people disappeared.
And then it isn't just about dying based on, because I'm into continued learning when it comes to COVID-19. The long COVID, right? That aspect there as well. In other words, you may have gotten over that main initial, impact of it, but your body still got to deal with the long-term effect. Isn't that but doesn't that apply with every sickness for the most part, Dr. Webster?
Not Dr. Webster, but yes, you are correct.
Madam CEO Webster, I apologize.
No excuse.
Yeah, I apologize.
No, but you are correct. Just about every disease has long-term effects.
That's so the human body. It gets exposed to things, and it's not the same as it was yesterday.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's just a generic visual there. So let's talk about that. Because you mentioned outreach, which is a good thing, right, and all that stuff. Is that something that we should be focusing on, not just a Frederiksted Health Center thing, but as a people, more education, more outreach, getting the public to process all the different aspects of healthcare?
Absolutely, most definitely. We have been trying our best to do as much education as we can, but we definitely need more people talking about healthcare, educating our community. Whereas too many of our patients, come to us for care, but then, as you say, they're not following the recommendations. They're either not taking the prescriptions that we have prescribed for them. Sometimes it's because they can't afford it, which leads me into our 340B program. We have a prescription program that helps our patients access medicines. Too often we prescribe medications for patients. They wouldn't take it, or they didn't take it as they should have. Even if they secured it, if it said take it 2 times a day or 3 times a day, they were taking it only 1 time to make it last. With the program that we have, we're able to discount the cost of the medications where the patients are paying little or nothing. Many can share that they had prescriptions where they had out-of-pocket expenses of like $300, $400. Now their out-of-pocket expense might be $50. So it's now something that they can afford. But I do, while I'm putting the plug for 340, I also want to share the concerns we have with people listening to social media, not taking prescriptions, not taking vaccines that are administered. We've been having challenges with some of our prenatal patients who are now trying to do home births, and those are serious concerns that are definitely not advisable, and we need to take every opportunity we can to tell people, listen to your medical provider. Don't listen to social media.
Yeah. In terms of, you mentioned competitiveness, I am definitely competitive in terms of wanting to provide, the best for our community. And so Ms. Webster definitely knows, as the chair of the board, my goal is to increase our outreach and education and be a model for how we share, a national model for how we share information with our patients, so that they can become better informed, and encourage individuals to be an active participant in their care. Ask a lot of questions and ensure that you're being heard, because you have a right when you're in that room to, ask questions, or, the doctor isn't the expert. You're the expert about your body and what you need. The doctor is just treating the symptoms. So I personally want to see more of that happening.
I'd like to thank Miss Masserae. Pronounce it correctly?
Yes.
Ms. Masserae Webster for joining us. Spro, right? I can't leave all up on it, right? Ms. Masserae Spro Webster for joining us this morning, CEO of the Frederiksted Health Center, and also Ms. Virginia Clairmont. She's the chairman of the board of 13 and also a patient, right, at the Frederiksted Health Center. Keep on keeping on. What you do is very, very important. I'm looking forward to the follow-up conversation that we're going to have down the road.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could just say, the board is actually comprised of 15 members.
Mm-hmm.
We do have 2 vacancies. If there are people in the community that are interested, please feel free to contact us.
Okay.
We need 2 board members. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary as Frederiksted Healthcare. We were started in 2000. And we want to thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak this morning and share about the work we do at Frederiksted Healthcare.
Not a problem. I'm looking forward to the follow-up conversation as well. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Great show today. Education Department, thank you as well. Be back tomorrow. Be good. Be safe.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.